We are back with the Dr. Joe Show with special guest Jim Wahlberg talking.
And Tony LaGreca.
And Tony LaGreca.
That's okay.
Special guest.
Talking about the stigma and how we can help remove the stigma.
We need more treatment centers. We're going to get lots of money from these lawsuits. Like Oklahoma's already got $575 million. Well, we got to make sure that we don't make a bridge with that money. We got to make sure it goes into recovery centers somewhere. And we got to people have to be in recovery for it's actually the rest of their life, as Jim said. It's every day the rest of your life. But to really get cleaned out and get your mind going in the right direction, it takes 6 to 12 months minimum.
Right.
And then you got to understand that it's an everyday process, every day. Because I, as a bereavement facilitator at Hope Floats, I've heard so many times, my son was clean for 2 years, and some event happened, and he went and he got back on it, and he died that day.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you have. That's when a tremendous amount of deaths happen after they've been clean for a year or two.
Yeah.
That's why they say, Jim said, it's a marathon. It's the rest of your life.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
You have to think about it. You know, I'm actually along treatment with GA, Gamblers Anonymous, and since 1978. And I go to Las Vegas to work, which I'm going to Saturday. And I mean, I can't even look in a casino. If I look in a casino, I actually have an anxiety attack, so I have to stay away, and it's like the same thing the rest of my life. I can't play a poker game. I can't do anything because I'll go right back into it.
And now we're looking at internet addiction and all of these other things that the kids are now, I mean, it's a struggle. It's amazing.
A struggle is really, I know you don't mean it this way, but it's such an understatement.
I agree.
It's like,
yeah, you're right.
You're home, you're in your house, you have parents that love you, that care about you, that teach you right from wrong, right? And then they go in their room. They don't even go outside. They go in their room. They pick up this thing, right? And
pointing to his cell phone for those on the radio.
For the people. I mean, it's like at warp speed.
Yeah.
Right? The exact opposite of what the people that love you are telling you. The exact opposite information is coming at you constantly, constantly, all day long. I don't know, man. We need to communicate with each other, right? So it's not like I'm not inventing a wheel, right? I feel like if we're talking to each other, we're communicating with each other. If kids feel like they can talk to their parents about these difficult topics,
so important,
right? And if parents feel like they can talk to their kids, parents are. So many people are so much more worried about the fact that whether or not their kids like them, right? If they're the cool parent, right? Then, are they having a real relationship with them? Are they, are they doing their job?
Are they talking with each other, not just to each other, not just at each other, but with each other?
Yeah.
And for parents out there, this is one of the most important things that I think we can give you as a message. Is if you want your child to be able to come to you with anything, you must not get angry when they come to you with something that's going to freak you out. Don't get angry. That will just shut them down. You got to be able to recognize that secrets aren't secrets because of what we've done. Secrets are secrets because we worry, how will someone judge me if they know my secret? And if your child feels enough trust to share their secret with you, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to be with your kid, because then you can have that discussion, you can have that relationship, and that could be life-saving.
When I was a kid, there were, and I made a lot of bad choices in my life, but there were so many different types of organizations around, right? Places for kids to go to be sort of safe, right? Like I remember we were involved with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, we were involved. They had a 3 to 10 p.m. campaign, right? Those are the hours that kids get in trouble. Those are the hours when their parents are still at work. Many parents have to work more than one job, right? So I think about places like that and people, the kind of people that I know, like my buddy Mike Joyce, who's been at the Dorchester Boys and Girls Club for 40 years, right? He dedicated his life, right? And so many kids that were taken by folks and shaped and pushed in the right directions. And when they say it takes a village, right? Nowadays, you can't. When I was a kid, my neighbors all had permission to put their foot in my backside if I did something wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Now you can't do that. You can't even speak to another person's kid. You know, I mean, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like there's so many different places out there that are underutilized, right? Like the Boys and Girls Clubs and in different organizations, after-school programs, mentor programs, churches, synagogues. I mean, I feel like we need so much more of a contribution to this conversation from our faith leaders too. I don't think we're getting it, and I think, to me, it's critical. It really is. So I know there's so much more to be done. I think.
I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. Is why you think we're not getting that message from the faith leaders.
I don't know, man. I can't speak to every faith. I can speak to my own faith, and that's why I went out and made my first faith-based movie, because I really felt like they weren't saying anything. There wasn't like, I didn't feel like they weren't talking about it in church on Sunday. I wasn't hearing it. I wasn't hearing the message. I hear it now. I hear more now in different parts of, I go to Catholic Mass. In different parts of the Mass, now I'll hear the mentions of addiction and brokenness and things of that nature, right? But I didn't, through this whole epidemic, I wasn't hearing it, unless I wasn't listening. That's always possible, right? But I wasn't hearing it. And so I felt like I was nudging people from my own faith to do more.
What about this idea of brokenness? Because you know, one of the things that we talk about here is called the I am approach, where nothing's broken, where we're all doing the best we can at every moment with the potential to change, and we just need to figure out why we do what we do, to wonder instead of worry. You're influenced by your home, the social domain, which is the rest of the world, the biological domain of your brain and body, and something we call the I see. How do I see myself? How do I think other people see me? And these four domains interconnect. Because they interconnect, a small change can have a big effect. You don't need to change everything. So I'm going to ask you, for our listening audience, what small change do you suggest they could make so they don't go down this path? What small change are you suggesting they could make? And then, Tony, we'll pull that over to you too.
Well, again, we've talked a lot about communication here today, right? And that's my lane in doing the work that I do, is trying to start a conversation, right? If two sides can have this one thing in the middle that helps them to facilitate that conversation. Have you ever had that experience? Have you ever been around? Has anyone ever offered you anything? You know, you can come and talk to me, right? What did you think about the way that parent handled the situation? And what did you think about the mom that was like, no way, no how, no chance? Right? My home is perfect. Which there is no such thing.
Just so people understand, in the movie, it was wonderful to contrast these two parents, you know, and the denial in one, and the desperation in the other, and the guilt and the shame and the blame. So the small changes.
So I'll say this: I don't think either parent in the film loved their children any less. Right.
Absolutely.
They were just, the parent that was in denial is just in denial. She's just fooled by the fact that her child had everything they could ever want. Right? And I'm sorry, but I'm not sure that's how it works. Right? So I feel like if we can create an environment where we can have a conversation, and parents can stop being afraid of their kids. Right? It's really mind-boggling to me. And I guess, you know, I think I fell into wanting to be popular with my kids too, right? Because I think back about my own childhood and how I didn't get along with my dad and how I'd never be like that or never be like him. And so I think sometimes I went overboard to make sure that my kids liked me, right? And I think I made some mistakes along the way, you know, and I've learned from them.
So I want to get Tony, can you be just real brief, because then I'm going to come back to Jim. What small change can you recommend for our listening audience?
I'd like to tell you that I speak to a lot of the kids who get sectioned. They go to the county prison, and they're locked up, but they're not criminals. And I always like to tell them it's time now to reflect. You're going to be here for 30 or 60 days. And this is the big thing, is everybody needs to take a time out once in a while and then ask yourself, who am I? Why am I here? And what is my purpose? And if they ask those questions to yourself every day, I think you'll find that you'll be able to deal with life a little bit better. And real quickly, I always ask the guys in the section, how many people did it take to get you here? And they tell me 2. And how about them? 4. And it goes to 8, then to 16. And I say, you know, you go back 6, 7 generations. You know how fortunate you are to be alive? It took 700 and something people for you to be born.
Yeah.
And you think those people would be proud of you now?
Yeah.
You're a representation of 750 different forms of DNA.
Yeah.
And then I teach them to get out in the yard and do some meditative walks.
And thanks, Tony, and Jim back. So the other rule of the I am, everyone's got an I am. Everyone's interested in what you think about them, which means you control no one, you influence everyone. What kind of influence are you hoping to be?
What kind of influence am I hoping to be? Well, I mean, first I want to influence the people closest to me, right? My family, my children, right? I want them to understand that a life of service is a great life. It really is. That it ain't all about stuff, right? So I want to influence them. And then in terms of bigger than that, I don't know if I could think that big. You know, I really can't. I just want to, I guess I want everybody I come in contact with to get that same message, right? That living a life of service is a good thing, you know?
You control no one, you influence everyone. You get to choose the kind of influence you want to be, folks. I just want to thank you guys for coming in. And Jim Wahlberg and all the work you're doing for everyone. And Tony, thanks so much for being here.
You're
Ashley,
welcome.
couldn't do without you. Everybody, thanks so much. We'll be back next week with the Dr. Joe Show.
Rush with madness, is it sadness or just a show that